Pablo Gunner, a key to do another TNTM the show lore, which is about me talking about me? The backstory of how TNTM the show came to be, the tea, the travesty, and the truth. So, last I was still in the Navy, so I'm going to going forward. I got to my ship and I honestly didn't really connect with that many people that well, which is not surprising considering I'm me and I'm a nerd and very I'm an introvert. If you like drinking, I had just gotten off this trip where I met my girlfriend at the time and I was totally in love with her. So I was like, that's really the only thing that I cared about and that was on my mind. And so that's what I was focused on. I got to my ship. It was the USS Farragut DDG 99. And we were out at sea for a few weeks. It was a brand new ship, so all we would do is go up and down the coast and test out all of our systems. I really didn't fit in with the guys because I'm not a big I don't like going out that much. I like video games. I like comics. I like and that's what I did. I accumulated a lot of comics. There was a comic book shop that I would go to in Jacksonville, and I would get a lot. My car was full of comics, like the back, like it was just full of stacks of comics. And then video games. I remember playing a lot of Guitar Hero and other video games on the ship. I did have a couple buddies. One of them, he was kind of like a meathead, but he was also a nerd. He was into anime, so we connected on that in that way. My other buddy Labetz, who was into video games and nerdy stuff as well. It was rough. It was crazy. There was a lot of stuff going on. Here's the thing: is that so I went in with this assumption because it's what I was told that they're like I wanted this specific job, a CT cryptology tech, and they're like, yeah, you can get it, you can get that job. They're like, just take this class and they'll offer it to you. So I was like, okay, cool. So that's what I did, and that's not what I got. I got fire controlman. That's what was available. And they're like, it's fine, it's a good job, and it'll excel your rate. That's the thing is it's excelled your rate. So like that first problem that I had where I got screwed out of money going in, they're like, well, you'll get paid, you'll jump up in rank faster. So you'll get money quicker. So they excel you to E3 quick or E4, right? I was getting my money pretty quick and it was good. That was good. But then what happened is on my ship, they were like, "Hey, the testing is coming up," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And they're like, "No, you're not up for the test. You haven't had your rank long enough." And I was like, "I'm pretty sure I have. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like at that year mark where I can test." And they're like, "No, you can't. Don't go. Don't go to the testing." So I didn't. And then every other FC and everybody that went to that testing were like, "Hey, dude, they were calling you. You weren't there. Where were you?" I was like, "They told me not to go." And you have so many bosses. Like I had like at least 3 or 4 bosses, right? And I think it was FC1 Beltran, FC1 Smith, and I don't remember the name of the ensign. The ensign that was in charge of our division, and all of them were like, "No, you're not up for it." It was frustrating because everyone, and it's like you have the opportunity to get even more money, right? Go up in rank. And they were like, it's fine. Nobody that takes that test passes or gets the next rank, the first time. And I was like, oh, okay, no biggie then, no problem. Test results came out. Every single person that took that test that was a FC ranked up. That would have been me. And that's when you get all the perks. When you get E5, that's when you get the most perks. Like you can live out in town. They'll pay you to live out in town and stuff. And that's what I wanted. I wanted, because I was living on the ship. I was living in my car is what I was doing because I was like so tired of the ship. I was sleeping in my car when we were in port. It was really kind of sad and pathetic. It was a miserable time. It was a miserable time in my life. The only thing I was happy about is really my wife. My parents were also having issues and stuff. They had split up, and I felt kind of responsible for that because they're like, you're the glue that kept the family together. So I felt bad because I was like, oh, I abandoned my family, abandoned my siblings and my parents, and everything. And as well as other family, my grandma and stuff, grandmas, all these family members I didn't realize needed me or wanted me around. You know, what's crazy too, because you don't realize how much things change until you're gone out at sea for like a few months and then you come back, especially when you from home, like you come back home and you're like, oh my God, there's so many more houses and it's so different here. And it's crazy. It's crazy how much time just keeps on going on without you. And so that was very frustrating. It was like, oh, can I take a retest? Can I take a late test? Nope, you're just SOL. That's it. You'll just have to take the next test. So I really, like, from the get go, like I said, got screwed out of money, then got screwed out of money out again. And I just continuously was getting screwed. And so, like I said, because it was a new ship, you just go up and down the coast and then you pull into port and you go dry docks and then they upgrade anything that needs to be upgraded. You're just a janitor at that point. I wanted time off. I wanted time to get married. I wanted time to deal with my family issues, as well as the fact that also Slay J was having issues too. And we were talking about, we were talking about that stuff. And so he had gotten kicked out of his house or something like that. He didn't have anywhere to live. So I hit up my parents and like I said, they were separated. So my dad actually put him up first. Uh, like I said, they were separated. They were literally in different houses. So my dad put him up and I was like, okay, cool. I thought this was great. And then he switched to staying with my mom. And it was interesting because, like, that's the thing is my brother and Slay J, they're both hardcore into sports, so they really connected. And so it was kind of nice to have him a bigger part of my family. And then I got kicked out. I got kicked out of the Navy. I'm not gonna lie. So when that happened, I was able to get married and he was supposed to be my best man, but he wasn't. And the reason was because he had actually stolen a credit card from my dad and he had maxed it out when he stayed there. So I helped him out and then he screwed me and my family over by doing that. And we had this fallout that was like, to me, it felt like it was Anakin versus Obi-Wan, where I was like, you're my brother, and he was like, you know, type of situation. And it's like I had to stand with my family because it's like he did him wrong. And that's another thing that happened that was messed up. Listen for the next one for more tea and truth to the story of TNTM the show.